Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DSP Sports. Well, we are now off of Fontana and NASCAR. And the first thing that Dave and I want to do today is talk to you about how that race went. Dave, how are you doing this week?
Great. Don, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. So what did you think of the Fontana race?
I thought the last 5 laps made up for the first 195 laps. The last 5 laps was awesome. And I'm a guy who does not really like the Fontana racing because it's kind of boring. Big tracks. Usually one person leads the whole time like Kyle Busch did. But the last 5 laps, to see 2 passes in the last 5 laps, so that was really cool. And plus, Harvick only led 1 lap, which was the lap he won, which was really cool.
Harvick technically led less than that lap. He led less than 1 lap. Technically, if you look at it, well, okay, technically they may just score it as him winning the lap, but literally, he had the lead in less than 1 whole lap. That's awesome.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Now, in our picks, which is all that people really care about, we both did fairly well. Both of us picking 7 or 5 at least of the top 10 Now, we both picked Kevin Harvick to be in our top 10, and he won. So yet again, we've managed to pick a winner in our top 10. What does this tell you?
That's the cool thing about this NASCAR season is there's been 5 or 6 races. I could be wrong, but there's been a different winner for every race, and that's the first time that has happened, I think, ever, which is pretty cool.
It is cool. And here's what bothers me, though. It's not so much that some of the people that I picked weren't in the top 10, but that they finished really close to the top 10, but failed to do it to give me the points that I need. Dale Jr. finished 12th. Tony Stewart finished 13th.
Yeah.
I thought that man was going to win the race.
Me too. I picked him to win it.
No, I didn't pick him to win it, but when I was watching the race, I thought he was going to win it. And Jeff Gordon finished 18th. It seems that I was a little off with my Paul Menard pick, with the 16th place finish. But that's really not all that bad. He's done worse in the past. I really do think he's rising to the occasion.
Well, he's got good equipment. I mean, this is the first time in years that, I mean, he's with Richard Childress, so he's got really good equipment. So, and not only that, his family owns Menards, and so he's got financial backing and he's got good equipment. So, I definitely see him possibly making the chase. I mean, it would be a long shot, to be honest, but I could see him making it.
And the interesting thing is that. Well, they were talking during the broadcast of the race, is that, look, this is Daddy owns his race car, basically, sponsors him. So he's in the seat. But the fact is, and I really believe, I think it was Darrell Waltrip that pointed this out, Daddy may be footing the bill, but Paul Menard is behind the wheel, and he is producing this season.
He is. That's true, and it's a little shocking to me, but you got to give a guy props when you got to give a guy props, and he definitely gets it.
Now, Denny Hamlin came in 39th. I believe it was engine problems.
It was.
Now that really hurt. Denny Hamlin is a consistently good driver, so that really hurt you with that 39 finish.
It did, and you know he's having a bad year, but so far, but he's had some weird things happen to him this year. So I do think in the end he will be in the chase because Denny Hamlin is just a good driver, and he just had some misfortunate things happen to him. But Martinsville is a track, not Martinsville, but last week Fontana is a track that he does pretty good at, but he just didn't do it last week.
All right, the last thing I want to talk about with Fontana is Mark Martin. You picked him to be in your top 10. I had been picking him to be in top 10s, but I stopped. Why is Mark Martin finishing in 20th place?
Because he has Dale Jr.'s crew chief from last year, Bass or Lance something. I forget his name. The guy honestly, I'm sure he's probably much smarter than I am, but he is not a very good crew chief, and I think Martin is filling those results. And Dale Jr. now has Jeff Gordon's crew chief from last year, and Jeff Gordon has Mark Martin's crew chief from last year. So you kind of see that crew chief is kind of important. And Mark Martin, unfortunately, got stuck with that crew chief because he's in the last year of his contract with Hendrick before Casey Kane comes aboard.
Now I know I said that I was done with Fontana, but what do you think with Tony Stewart? Do you think that if he would have listened to his crew chief instead of trying to make some of his own decisions on the track, that Tony Stewart would have finished higher than 13th?
I do, and Tony Stewart's Tony Stewart. He owns the team, so he is going to do what he wants to do, and that's just Tony Stewart. You got to take the good with the bad. The brilliant thing about Tony Stewart as a driver is that he has to listen to the people around him. The thing that sucks about him as an owner is he doesn't have to. So that's going to make or break him. You know what I'm saying, Doug?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you. All right. Well, now the next race that's coming up is what they call the short track that thinks it's a super speedway, a Martinsville. Now, Martinsville is always entertaining, and it's always fun to watch.
I agree. I love Martinsville.
And whose turn is it to give their picks first?
Yours.
It's fallen on me this time. Okay. Well, here we go. And I'm real sorry if some of this sounds like a repeat from several weeks before, but I have the drivers that I think will do well, and I've shown that about 50% of the time I'm right.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say in my top 10, in no particular order, will be Dale Jr. History of short tracks is pretty good.
Yeah.
Carl Edwards. Juan Montoya. I don't know why, but I'm really feeling hot on Juan Montoya.
You picked him to win last week.
I know. Jeff Gordon. Kyle Busch. I feel like I have to pick a Busch brother. They're good drivers, even though I don't care for either of them. But the reason why I picked Kyle this week is because I hate him more than his brother Kurt.
And he's always in the top 10. So
yeah.
That's a good pick.
Tony Stewart. Matt Kenseth. Casey Kane. And are you ready for this? Trevor Bayne.
You love that dude.
I don't know. I just think he's more than Daytona this season. I don't know if he'll do. If
he hasn't proved it.
I think he is more than Daytona. I don't think he's going to be in the chase. Well, he couldn't be because he's not in the points. But I don't think if he were in the points, he'd make the chase. But I think he's going to do something other than Daytona this year, even if it's just one thing. So I'm holding out. And of course, Jeff Burton. I'm going to pick Dale Jr. to win because I'm just that kind of a fanboy. And Robbie Gordon will cause the wreck, or at least one of them. This
you're going to pick him every week because you know it's 50-50.
All right, Dave.
You know what? I think you have more faith in Trevor Bayne than Trevor Bayne, to be honest. Okay, so Dale Jr. to win. Man, that's huge. I don't think he's ever won at Martinsville, so that would be huge.
Indeed. So what's your pick?
Okay, here we go. I'm going to go this week. For the first time this year, I'm going to pick Newman in my top 10 because he's there consistently every week.
All right.
Harvick. Kurt Busch. Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, and Denny Hamlin. Only because the guy wins at this track all the time.
Okay.
The crash is going to be Ruderman. I think Ruderman just is going to try to do something crazy because he's getting into a position right now where if he doesn't try to do something crazy, he's out of the chase. So he's going to try to make a move.
All right.
Now, to win the race, this is going to be tough. Oh, man. I'm going to... I don't want to pick him, though.
Pick who your heart
I'm going to
leads you
pick
to
Jimmy
pick.
Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson for the win. Our listener Ryan from Illinois will be pleased to hear one of us picked Jimmy Johnson. He is a big Jimmy Johnson.
I'm not happy about it, but I'm trying to. The guy's good there, you know.
All I know, and it's on Facebook. I posted it. I said, "Wow, I'm excited! Come on, somebody, anyone, beat Kyle Busch." And it was either Jimmy Johnson or Kevin Harvick, and I was so happy that it was Harvick, but I would have been almost as happy if Jimmy Johnson had won that race, and I'm not a fan.
You know what I've noticed is there's two people that has kept you and me close in this competition, and that's Kenseth and Kane. I've been refusing to pick them, and they're both constantly in the top 10, and I'm going to have to learn my lesson sooner or later.
Well, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got more to talk about. It's not just all about NASCAR here. Let's talk about the NBA.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. The Lakers are looking good. I think they've lost one game since the All-Star break. They, the Spurs are just in chaos. They've lost like a bunch in a row. They're only like 2 games from the Lakers. The Lakers have the second best record in the NBA, and all of a sudden the Lakers are looking like they might go into the playoffs with home court advantage, which is shocking because literally 3 weeks ago everybody was calling the Lakers dead. So I'm really excited about the Lakers. And not only that, Don, the Cleveland Cavaliers this week, the king, in Cleveland.
That was sweet.
It doesn't get better than that.
That was sweet. I remember seeing that come across. I was actually at yahoo.com and I saw it and I'm like, say what? And I went and I looked back and I'm like, that has got to be the best.
That's their Super Bowl or, their championship. I mean, that team literally is the worst team in the NBA, and they beat LeBron. The fans in Cleveland, that just gave them something to live for. Like this guy completely screwed over the whole city, and then they beat him, which was awesome.
Yes, and I'm worried myself because Chicago is got a better record than Boston right now.
Yeah, but they don't have the experience in the playoffs. That matters,
And it does matter. And but that does that will affect their pairing and who has home court advantage, correct?
Yes.
So that's what I'm concerned about. Now I know as much as anyone else, the best way to kill home court advantage is to come out and kick some butt. No matter, if it happens in football, it happens in baseball, it happens in hockey even, and it happens no matter where you're at, including basketball. If you're the visiting team and you can demoralize the home court, the fans, then you've got it made, no matter where you're at.
Yeah, I agree.
That applied for when playing the Bulls when you were playing against Michael Jordan, and
Yeah.
And it happened. It just didn't happen a lot. But no, I remember, and ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure the record is clear. David Beard did say that the Lakers were not done. They were not down and out. And the fact remains is they're not far from having a better record than San Antonio.
And I'm really starting to think, Don, that all this time I was giving San Antonio props. And to be honest with you, they actually started going downhill when I acknowledged them for the first time ever a couple weeks ago. But we're just some pretty bad jinxers, I think. But I think honestly, in this long of an NBA season, when you're playing 100 and I don't even know how many games they play, 72 and like 130 games or 100 games, like. Their age is showing, and they're hurting, man. I mean, the Duncan was hurt for a while, and Parker was hurt for a while, so I think their age is showing, and San Antonio is who we thought they were, and I don't think that they're going to make the finals.
Well, for the first time in a long time, I am looking forward to the NBA playoffs. I'm curious to see how Boston is going to do. I want to know how Chicago is going to do. I'm interested in L.A. and San Antonio because I've been following both those teams. Oklahoma City, I don't know a lot about, and to be quite honest, we haven't really covered them all that much. They've been in first place all season.
Yeah, no, they're a good team. They pushed the Lakers to, I think, 7 games last year.
Wild. And Miami, I really want to see them. I really want to see them fail. And I know that whatever we say, the opposite seems to happen. But I'm not going to not say what I think, just because I could push them all the way up to the championship. I want to see them fail.
The best thing that could ever happen as a lifelong Lakers fan is for the Lakers and Kobe to win his 6th championship, beating the greatest team, the dream team of all time. That, as a Laker fan, would be really cool.
Do you want to see me in a Lakers jersey? Because it'll happen if they're playing Miami. You'll see me in a Lakers jersey with a Lakers hat, with a Lakers big number 1 finger, and I will be the biggest cheerleaders of the Lakers that you've ever seen. People won't even realize. People who have known me all my life will think I've never been a Celtics fan. Now, the beginning of the next...
Let me tell you, I would love to see that, and when the Celtics play the Heat in the playoffs, if they do, I will be the biggest Celtics fan, because as much as I want the Lakers to beat the Heat in the finals, to be honest with you, I think they got a better chance to beat the Celtics because the Heat make me nervous because I feel like they only show up when they have to.
The honest-to-God truth, though, is that what the fans of this show really want, and what anyone that's going to stumble on this show really want, they want the Lakers versus the Celtics to be in the finals for one reason and one reason only. Rated R cussing and swearing matches between you and I over who's going to win. David, your mom won't be able to listen to the show. It'll be that bad.
I guarantee you she will. She is a huge fan of our show, Don.
Well, that's good. Hi, Dave's mom. Now, there's more. Major League...
And I'm sure she's smiling right now.
Major League Baseball has started. And I'm excited because there are people out there that are still having a hard time with this whole NFL thing.
Yeah.
One of our friends at the DSP Sports channel on YouTube, D-Tong Sports, has got his own video talking about how he is going to boycott the NFL if there is a prolonged labor dispute.
What's he going to do?
He's just not. He's even talking about throwing away his favorite team's jersey. I'm going to put a link to his show in the comments part of this episode because I think it's important. But the reason why I'm glad for the Major League Baseball is that a lot of you out there that love football also love or at least like baseball. And the start of the baseball season hopefully will give you something to watch to calm you down. Because your stress levels are too high.
Can you imagine being a Cardinals fan right now? Speaking of the baseball, that's got to suck to be a St. Louis Cardinals fan because this city backs St. Louis Cardinals like nobody. And with the whole thing with Pujols, and then now Holiday is going to go on the DL, like that's horrible.
Well, Pujols doesn't affect me. You see, he's going to be playing for this team all season long, and I've said it, and I'll say it again. He's going to be playing with all of his soul, all of his heart, and all of his efforts.
Yesterday he grounded a 3 double play, so he better step it up.
Well, he better, because you know what happens if he has a crappy season.
His $120 million goes to maybe 50.
Yeah, and that means he's with the Cardinals, and who wants that? Who wants a crappy player with the Cardinals? We want a good Albert Pujols. Never mind his brother Robert.
Hey, he's great. Honestly, Robert Pujols should get some more time.
But I'll tell you what right now. Chicago Cubs are already working towards throwing their season away. They're 0-1.
And they lost to the freaking Pirates.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's the interesting thing, and you may not understand. When I was a kid, but before I moved over to Massachusetts, my two favorite teams were the St. Louis Cardinals and the LA Dodgers.
Wow.
Any team that has a man named Oral Hershiser gets my vote immediately. And on top of that, Tommy Lasorda was awesome.
He's the best ever.
I know. He was great. So it's good to see that the LA Dodgers won their first game.
Hey, I got to tell you, the reason why I'm a Dodgers fan is one of my earliest memories as a kid was when the Dodgers in 1988 won the World Series, but it was in Game 1 when Kirk Gibson hit that home run. I was watching it with my stepdad, my mom, and my brother, and my stepsister, and we were so excited. We were living in Southern California. We ran out into the street, and my neighbors, Misty and Wendy, and everybody came over, and we were all high-fiving, and it was just one of the best memories I have as a kid, was that home run by Gibson. I have never to this day seen a sports moment that awesome. That's why I'm a huge Dodgers fan.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. You know why David Beard is a huge Dodger fan. Well, say goodbye to everyone, David.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right, this is Don Stevens. That was David Beard. We will see you next week on DSP Sports.